very good afternoon to Amy Rogers.
Hey there, Anna. Well, just as the venue was so much a topic of conversation last week at the U.S. Open being played at Oakmont Country Club, that will certainly be the case here this week at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, as this brand new venue for this championship will certainly be a topic of conversation. Fields Ranch East is one of two 18-hole layouts here at PGA Frisco and is hosting just its second major championship here this week. The first was the Senior PGA Championship in 2023, and this is such a new property. It just opened in 2022. Now, the players that were able to come here in advance of this championship to get a look at the golf course have had a similar takeaway. They say it's windy, and if you look at my hair right now, you could probably tell that's certainly the case out here as well. In fact, Celine Boutier, when she played around here, she said she dealt with 30-mile-an-hour winds. Lindy Duncan saying a similar thing. She told me that she came here in advance of this championship, something she's never done before, played this course 3 times ahead of this week. And she said that she doesn't see some of the negative takeaways that we heard from some other players, and said she's very excited to take on the test here this week.
I think it's going to be really fun. Every hole is unique. It's going to be a great challenge. It's going to be windy. Something that I normally like is hot, windy conditions. And yeah, like there's a good mix of holes. Par 5 may be reachable on 9, and then a couple short par 4s, but then there's a couple long par 3s and par 4s as well.
Definitely mixed emotions. It is a challenge. Rough is pretty thick. If you go in the rough, you're probably going to have to chip out unless you have strength of some of the girls out here. I tried it yesterday and I couldn't get anything nearly anywhere near the greens. I think there are some holes if you can carry 240 comfortably off the tee, it is a little bit advantageous. So I'm not that short, but I can't carry 240 off the tee. So there are narrow holes for sure. I think it will test every club in the bag. I heard that the front nine's a little bit different, but the back nine that I played yesterday, the fairways were generally left to right. And I'm a fade player, so it's going to be interesting because I would have to avoid some bunkers and be pretty accurate. But the greens are pure. If you're a good putter, you can definitely score out here.
I think it's going to be a good major course. The par 4s are longer, the par 5s aren't quite reachable, so I think you're going to have to hit a lot of good shots into the green. The greens are definitely rolling really nice. They're quick downhill, a bit slower uphill, so you kind of have to think a bit more. But yeah, it's going to be really windy, so it's going to be interesting to see the scores.
Ronan Yin, who won this championship at Baltusrol, said earlier today that the course is long. That's something you just heard from Jenny Shin as well. Now, both Yin and Shin are not particularly long hitters of the golf ball. They just average a little over 260 yards off the tee. Now, the course this week expected to play just over 6,600 yards, but as Duncan told me, each and every hole is so different, so unique, and then with the wind changing direction, she said it's constantly forcing players to readjust and to rethink their approach. So based on what we're hearing from players so far, Anna, it sounds like it's going to be a tough test here this weekend.
It certainly does, Amy. Thank you very much indeed. Well, let's welcome you back onto our desk where we have been joined by the one and only Bethann Nichols. Bethann, really, really good to see you. You are such a wonderful storyteller of this game, and the KPMG Women's PGA Championship has really evolved in a huge way over the last, 11 years now since KPMG came on board with that partnership. In terms of the venues, the purses, the coverage, the attention, just describe how much this championship now means to the players. The same question for you in a second, Mel, but from an outside view, how big this week is.
Well, I think this is a championship that really forced a lot of the other majors to get in line, shall we say. They raised the bar all the way around, and it is the purse and the venues and the things that we see on the outside, but it's also the little things that players talk about, in terms of food for their caddies or their courtesy cars or things behind the scenes that we don't necessarily see, the lovely Champion Center, of course, that they had yesterday. So I think this championship had really lost its way before the PGA of America stepped in along with KPMG, and not only did they strengthen it, but they made it the standard.
And from a player perspective, this is one of the big ones now.
Yeah, it is. And I think, just to allude to your point and also what Anna Norquist said earlier on the desk, KPMG, when they came in and stepped up the prize money, I really feel like it elevated women's golf. I feel like it actually forced the other majors to do the same thing. So definitely KPMG moved the needle, and they do the basic stuff really good, as you said. They look after players, they look after caddies, courtesy cars. Everything feels very easy for players this week, and I think that that is something that, you know, when you're hosting an event, you shouldn't really take that for granted. Sometimes the basics of player needs actually just get taken away. There's gyms available this week, even just making the player's life easier. So all they have to focus on is prepping for an event, and we get to play amazing golf courses. This is a brand new golf course for us, so it'll be interesting to see how the players play. But I just think that it just feels like a big event now, and I think it has done for the last few years, and it certainly was one on my calendar that I always looked forward to going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a world-class facility here that they have here at PGA Frisco, the home of the PGA America. I mean, the resources and the facilities, we're going to get to them a little bit later in the show, but it really is becoming a real central hub of the game here in Frisco, Texas. From what you've seen of the course and what you've heard, what are the initial reactions of players? It seems perhaps a little bit mixed from the report that we're hearing from Amy.
Yeah, you know, I think there's, I think variety might be the word of the week in terms of all the different ways that they can set this golf course up depending on the wind and the hole locations. And they have so much room to grow for tee box movements. They can basically put the tees almost anywhere, it looks like, in the middle of the fairway. And so they can stretch it out as much as they want. And I think, you know, for players, you know, who have played Rio for the Olympics in 2016, Alban Valenzuela said it reminded her of the Gil Hands design there. He said, you know, in 2023, Gil Hands, that is the architect, that the highest compliment he could receive was that players hadn't figured it out yet, that there were so many nuances out here that it wasn't something that you could play one time and say, I got it. And so I think the players will have a big test and can never really relax.
Yeah, and I think that also this golf course is big, right? We're in Texas. It's a very big property. I think when they pull it all the way back, they can get it over 8,000 yards. Someone was telling me when, for the guys, if they want to play it on the championship. So I think it's a modern golf course. I feel like a lot of golf courses now are going to be built like this, drivable par fours, long par fives, long par fours, a lot of bunkers to protect it. And so I think it'll be very interesting this week. As you said, a lot of players have kind of mixed opinions on this place.
Yeah, accuracy, short game, precision off the tee, it's all going to be tested this week at Phil's Ranch East here at PGA Frisco.